Hello folks, we're on to another one. It's Kernow Beta1100. Probably one of the most reliable sets, probably on a par with Mexcom 4E's in reliability. Basic set, no meter, that suits me down to the ground. Who needs a meter? And he sent 3 sets in for repair. He sent an Amstrad 901, he sent this Kernow Beta1100, and he sent a Albrecht 6890, that's the one with the splittable front, which was, there were a lot of money, about £229, and we've not had one of those before. Now I recall that I've bought one about 6 or 9 months ago off eBay because I hadn't seen one, and of course now we've got one come in. I needn't have done that. So if I'm right, and if mine is a 6890, we'll do them both together and then we'll be able to compare. But unfortunately, all those expensive Albrecht sets have really come badly set up out of the factory so far. And most of the ones I've had have been brand new. So it's not like they've been messed with. So we'll see when we come to that. That will be the next set. I'm just doing them in the order they've come out of the box. The Kernow's come out first and the Amstrad's in the bottom. So that's the way it is. And he's gone into detailed analysis of what they're doing and off frequency and all that kind of stuff, which will be interesting. My test set's only been on 10 minutes, so we won't be doing the frequency side of things until that's been on half an hour. So these come with a fitted power lead rather than a removable power lead. And I'll just change glasses and we'll just have a look at whether it's got the right fuse in it. Yeah, it's 2 amp, that's fine. So it's got the factory original mic on this, which is a condenser mic. So we'll get this connected up to our famous crocodile clips. See if we can short it out. That's the test set doing its hissing as it warms up on its receive side. I'll turn this up. We were doing that realistic handheld yesterday, so the power supply was at 12.8 volts. So we'll turn this up now to 13.8. So he's measured that most of these sets are doing between 2 and 2.5 watts, and he's probably right. He's got 2.25. He said it stopped transmitting after he did his test, so okay, it stopped transmitting. Switch on. It's one of these annoyingly comes on channel 9. It stopped transmitting, but it stopped transmitting as in there's nothing coming on the transmit light. So that might be more straightforward than we think. Have I got another mic on here that's wired up for the same? It'd be handy if I labelled these, wouldn't it? Let's see what this one does. No, it's not that one. What's this one? It's a CRT-S Mini. Don't think it's that one. I'll just test this one. No. Now, I've said a million times we don't do mic repairs, but it looks like I'm having to at the moment because, yeah, that's wired right. So it's the microphone that's playing up. So it's now transmitting. So I'll switch picture in picture on. There you are, picture in picture's on. I'm going to stand up so I can see the monitor. Yes, it is on. Okay. So first of all, we'll put it in. I'll test it in the 3-watt mode, and it's doing 3 watts. That's what it's doing. Yeah. So it's 3 watts. Wallow. 1.8 kilohertz deviation. Record. We will go on the frequency counter and we'll look at what it's doing. 27,79112. He's got it is 27,790. No, his counter's out. It doesn't really even need adjusting, but we will adjust it and we'll wait for the test set to be at its proper temperature. So we'll see where it is with the receive. I'm going to try and do all these customers 3 sets this week, even though we're really only doing 1 a week, because we're getting a backlog of stuff and I don't want people waiting and waiting and waiting, even though we're only doing 1 repair a week officially. So I mean, at the moment we're on pipe organ jobs, and that's absolute priority because it takes such a lot of time. They're thousands of hours. Okay, so we're on frequency with the signal generator. Let's get the test set plugged into the extension speaker socket. Switch the cyanide meter on and put the camera on there. And let's see where we get 12 dB. .56 microvolts. That's excellent. Right, we'll get it opened up, and it's got the sides. Well, it's got one. I didn't say I can get the other one out. You know what? I'm not going to try. These are the type that came with the SW711 speakers. They're not the ones that actually came with the Kernow sets. Just turn the volume down so as not to annoy people who get annoyed by that. My friend Mark, G7NDJ, ZX2, who comes here, well, used to come here before lockdown and stay the odd weekend. He's got a Kernow Beta1100 amongst other sets, but it's the kind of one he'd put in his car and know it works. It's funny that, especially in the last 10-12 years, the more expensive sets just don't seem to work as well as the cheaper sets. In years gone by, they all used the same chassis, didn't they? You know, like the Cybernet 134, and it could be something really basic, like the Binatone Speedway, or it could be something really elaborate like the Roto 240, or even that flagship base station, the Midland 76900, with all the same innards, so you knew where the performance was. But they don't seem to be sharing chassis as much these days. Okay, so there we have it. So we'll we won't do the frequency yet. I say it doesn't even need adjusting, to be honest, but we will do just for the video. So that's where we're going to adjust that. So what we need to do is to run through the transmit. That's been cross-threaded. Anyway, I'm not here to take that out. It's one of those sets where we have to unplug the extension speaker while we do the transmit. Okay, we'll move over back to the power meter. I'm going to keep it on the 3-watt range because there's still a little bit of room before I get full scale deflection, and it's easier on that scale at this level. Now we have gone over it. Once you get beyond 3.2 watts, you need to be on the other scale. Unless it's stale then. So, is there a power adjustment on these? I've got a sneaking suspicion there is. I just don't see enough to remember, and because of the building work here and the organ work here, most of the stuff is filed away, put away, or in storage, so I don't have access to all the documents we would normally have. Is that a crystal filter I see, or is that just a reference? That's just a reference. So we're likely to have a squelch preset, we're likely to have a deviation preset, so is the other one a power preset? That is the question. So chances are that that one, because it's around the receive side of the circuit, is going to be squelch. I'm not quite sure where that is in the circuit. I could download the circuit and find out, but it doesn't matter what I fiddle with because I can fiddle with it back. Yeah, that is power. How handy. All I need now is that tool. It's just a bit too tight to use with the ceramic tool. So that's 4 watts. I'm just going to go through these again. Right, let's look at deviation. It's going to be that preset. So I've got that about where I think it's going to be when I use my voice. While I want it, spot on. So we want an absolute maximum of 2.5. And it to be around 2.2 to 2.5. So we've now done that, it's 4 watts. We've now done this, it's 2.2 to 2.5. So that's the transmit done apart from frequency. So I think what we'll do, we'll just put it on frequency, but I'll recheck it later behind the scenes. There we go. Do nicely. I always try and keep them slightly high So it's 2779108 and it's now 2779127. Right, let's look at receive. Just make sure the signal generator is spot on. There we go. And plug the speaker back in. So we'll start with doing the detector. Switch the bench light off. So I'm going to put an S9 equivalent signal of 100 microvolts on the test set. Just turn the volume until I get that kind of trace. As I said a million times, that's a very ordinary oscilloscope. It's a 10 meg one, it could equally be a 1 meg one, it makes no difference. All we're looking at audio and it's just across the speaker. So I expect that's going to be the detector. And it is, and we've made a very slight improvement there. So that's the end of that. We'll go over to the cyanide meter and we'll do a tune up, and this will be the quickest job. It'll probably be the microphone that takes all the time. So we're going to attenuate the signal from the signal generator till I get 4 dB, like that. The idea is that you're not wanting to saturate the receiver, so it makes it easier to tune. And when we get to the IF, we do need to have about 12 dB on, because we're looking at quality as well. So I don't know which order these are. Let's start here. Yeah, that's a vast improvement. So turn the attenuator down. This gentleman's near Leeds. And of course Mr. Chippy lives up at Shipley near Bradford. So I'm going to turn the signal up and just look at those 4 again with a higher signal. Yes. Should we check that one? Go back to a smaller signal for that one. That's really excellent. I'll tell you what, this set is stunning in performance. Right, let's measure it off. So it had an already excellent 0.56. It's now 0.37. Just for those interested, for 10 dBs it does 0.28 microvolts. And does it achieve 20? I'll tell you what it does, and it achieves it at 1 microvolt. So really is good. So we'll set the squelch. So first of all I'm going to turn the squelch to full, not the volume, the squelch. And I want that squelch, let's go over to the attenuator, to enable me to open up the receiver with a 100 microvolt S9 equivalent signal. So we've got 1 microvolt, 3 microvolts, 10 microvolts, 30 microvolts, 100 microvolts. That's where I want it, and that's exactly where it is. So it would be that adjustment if it was out, but it isn't out, so it doesn't need adjusting. So let's look at the sensitivity side. I'm going to switch the signal generator to standby, and we're going to set the squelch on the radio so it's at threshold. A volume again. There we are, squelch, threshold. So we will switch the signal generator back on, and let's see when it comes in. So, be careful, it's 0.45, 0.5, 0.55, 0.6, 0.7, 0.75 is when it comes in of a microvolt, and it leaves us at 0.45 microvolts. So the hysteresis action is absolutely excellent. Good. Very impressive performance. So what's happened to his mic? My goodness, it's got some rusty screws in it. I think a wire's come off. Oh, come on out. This screw is having a tendency to just spin round, so I've got to not put any pressure on and get it out that way. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. There's a couple of wires come off in the plug. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to put a new plug on that. It's not that I'm wanting to sell the bloke a plug. But with the screws being in the state they're in, that's more like what it's about. May as well put that bit of heat shrink sleeving back because it'll enable it to fit better. You know what, I'm going to have to put some type of lubricant on that. We'll just use the service oil, it might be enough. Just won't thread through. So we'll redo these wires. I hope they haven't got too much corrosion. Well, managed to get some solder on everything. Now, plugs. Some of the mics we buy come with factory fitted plugs. And so we'll use one of those, because some of the plugs have to be chopped off to put different types of plug on. Now, some of the mics we have don't come with plugs, but if a customer requires a particular mic style and it comes with a plug, we have to cut the plug off. So this is how we've got one or two new plugs with a bit of wire hanging out of them. So we will thread. We'll take the screw out. And then with our jig, so we know, just going to turn the radio off. Because the wiring is going to be the same, it's going to be shield to that one. Which colour's which? I haven't got the foggiest. So I'm going to assume, there's a mistake, I'm going to assume that red's going to be transmit, and that black's going to be receive, I just need to pull that through. And then when I've done this and found it's wrong, I'm going to wish that I tested these with my multimeter. So we'll assume that audio is going to be green, which I've never seen before in my life. Okay, so we'll unplug my test mic. and we'll plug back in the customer's mic, see what happens. One, two, wallow. Wallow. Perfect. So pin 4, for those of you who need to know this, is red, so it's transmit. Pin 3 is the shield. Pin 1 is transmitted audio from the mic itself, so on this mic it's green. And pin 3 is receive, which is black. So with a nice new tiny mini micro screw, and not that nasty old one which was spinning around. There we go, final test. 1 2 1 2, excellent. So I'm just going to check it's on frequency, because that's now taken up enough time. Of course, it started off on channel 9, hasn't it? And I better unplug the extension speaker because of this annoying thing of feedback. 79129. So we'll just trim that down a fraction. Not that far. It's going to be one of those, is it? Okay, 79125 toggling 6. Right, we'll put the lid back on. I don't think I've seen a nasty one of these. Wish I could say that for a lot of other sets. So we've got full 4 watts, we've got fantastic receive. Hope that speaker sounds better than it sounds just now. I think we need to just put some spray on that volume control, to be honest, if we can. I'll pause the video and I'll go and get one. Okay, having got a service hole, we use the Super 10 switch cleaner. better. You know, I hate to say this, but wouldn't it be typical that if this set outperforms these £229 owl brake? So that's going to be our next set, and we'll try and cram that in tomorrow. It's Saturday today. So as a church organist, obviously Sundays are quite busy, but we're still only on one service after the COVID situation. Instead of doing 2 in the morning, only doing 1. Of course, that affects my pay packet. You know, I'm self-employed, so you get what you know. You're being paid for what services you do. And I haven't got one in the afternoon this week. It's every other week, my afternoon one. So I think we'll do the gentleman's owl brake. Right, let's plug it in to the roof aerial. And as I keep saying, it's an Antron 99 type without the ground plane kit, so it's a fiberglass half wave. It's mounted at gutter level on a single story property, so it could be much better. The aerial on our base station is a silver rod type of half wave, and it's mounted a bit higher. It's still mounted just above the gutter, but 6 feet above the gutter, and this is just fed with thin cable because it just goes through this window at my right hand side, so there's only about 5 meters of cable on it, and this is industrial grade cable, so it's not this is the same kind of loss as what RG8 was, and we're using URM213 on the other one. Right, here we go. Oh, good grief, it's silly noises. 19 Roger. There's somebody there. $19 a Roger. No chance. So there we have it, the Kernow Beta 1100. These were about 1990 when they hit the market. Thanks for watching.